A young woman becomes unintentionally involved in a dark drug deal, but then takes control of the situation and develops into a ruthless fighter who operates beyond the limits of human reasoning. Welcome to Recap Planet. Spoilers ahead, so be prepared. In the opening scene, we see a cell divided into several other cells. Then, a prehistoric protohuman is seen drinking water from a lake. Lucy narrates life given to us billions of years ago and we have done nothing with it. Lucy, a young American woman in the present, is seen with her week-long boyfriend Richard in front of a hotel in Taiwan. She is being asked to carry a briefcase up to Mr. Zhang's room. Lucy is offered $500 but declines to do anything for Richard without knowing what it is he needs her to deliver. As a result, Richard handcuffs Lucy's wrist to the briefcase handle, giving her no other option. When she enters the lobby, she nervously introduces herself to the clerk before informing her that Richard is sending her up to Zhang. When Lucy looks out the window, she sees Richard trying to be encouraging and smiling before he is shot to death. They deliver Lucy to Zhang's residence. Lucy starts to throw up because there are bloody corpses on the ground. Zhang emerges from the room with bloody hands. He makes a phone call to a man to translate for Lucy. She sobs, unsure of what is happening or why it is happening. The code to open the briefcase is number 140, which Zhang records on a piece of paper. While his men are preparing themselves with weapons and shields, Zhang enters the subsequent room. The briefcase, which is filled with 4 1-kilogram bags of blue powdered crystals, is opened by Lucy. A drugged-up man is brought in by Zhang to snort some of the blue powder. The man briefly trembles before breaking out in maniacal laughter up until Zhang shoots him in the head. After that, Lucy is told to perform a task but refuses until she is beaten. Lucy finds herself in a hotel room. Her stomach is wrapped in a bandage. Zhang's men enter and throw some clothes on her. She is led to Zhang with 3 other men. A British man known as the Limey enters the room to inform Lucy that she and the other men have had a drug called CPH4 injected into their lower intestines. The drug is thought to be the next big thing on the market, and they plan to smuggle it around the world. Lucy is then taken to a room and chained up, where one of the thugs tries to get into her jeans before kicking her in the stomach, right where they cut into her. This tears the drug bag, allowing the powder to enter Lucy's system. She begins to writhe and thrash all over the room, even reaching for the ceiling before collapsing back to the floor. During this time, we meet Professor Samuel Norman, who is giving a lecture to a classroom about his research on the capacity of the brain. He essentially explains what could happen if humans were to exceed the recommended 10% brain capacity, as well as its responses to certain environments that would allow the brain to submit to immortality or reproduction. Essentially, if the subject dislikes their surroundings, they will choose immortality and relocate, whereas if they enjoy their surroundings, they will be more likely to reproduce. If humans could, say, reach 40%, they could manipulate matter. One student wonders what would happen if humans reached 100% efficiency. He claims to have no idea. Lucy reawakens, her eyes glowing bright blue. She sits up straighter and more calmly than before. When a thug walks into the room, Lucy spreads her legs to tempt him. The thug smiles and places his gun on the table. Lucy grabs his belt and flips him over as he walks over to her, then pulls the table over to get the gun. She shoots the other thugs as they eat after she frees herself. She is shot in the shoulder, but she is able to dig the bullet out without feeling any pain. She then consumes all of the thugs' food before fleeing. She finds 2 taxi drivers outside, shoots one in the leg, and has one of them drive her to the hospital. Lucy has heightened senses while driving to the hospital and can hear people's voices from outside the car. When she arrives at the hospital, she can read the signs as if they were written in English for her. She arrives at an operating room where doctors are operating on a man. Lucy examines the patient's X-ray scans before shooting him, telling the doctors that they wouldn't have been able to save him because the tumor in his brain had already spread far enough. She forces the doctors to remove the bag from her stomach. She then calls her mother to tell her that she can feel everything, the air, the blood in her veins, the heat leaving her body, and can even access the deepest parts of her memories, such as being sick as a child or petting a cat when she was only a year old. Before hanging up, she tells her mother that she loves her. The doctor removes the bag of drugs from Lucy's stomach, and after she tells him it's CPH4, he tells her that this is something pregnant women produce 6 weeks into their pregnancy as nutrients for the fetus and that the doctor is surprised Lucy has survived this long with it in her body. Lucy returns to the hotel one more time to find Zhang, who is in the middle of getting a tattoo and a facial. She murders his bodyguards and then chases the tattoo artist away before stabbing Zhang in both hands with knives. She performs a Vulcan mind meld into his brain and sees where the other 3 drug mules are going using images of their plane tickets. Zhang screams in agony as she walks away. Lucy visits Caroline's apartment to use her laptop. She reads all of Norman's research in a matter of seconds and then contacts him to tell him what she's read. He is astounded to learn that she reads everything, even as she continues to explain what she is feeling and experiencing now that she has reached 20% brain capacity. She has the ability to manipulate electronics, appearing on Norman's hotel room TV, phone, and radio. She intends to meet with him in 12 hours. She prints out a prescription for Caroline before leaving, telling her that her liver and kidneys are failing and that she needs to make new lifestyle choices or she will die. Since the news about Lucy shooting the patient has spread, she changes her hair color and style as she walks through the airport. She contacts a French police officer, Captain Pierre Del Rio, to inform him of the other drug mules. She then boards the plane and continues her research on the brain, typing furiously on her laptop. The flight attendants ask her to turn off her computer, and Lucy requests a glass of champagne while also instructing one of the flight attendants to wipe her nose without looking, and the lady's nose bleeds as a result. Lucy is given a champagne glass and toasts to knowledge. She sips, and then the word 40% appears on screen. She finds a tooth in her glass and spits up 3 more teeth. Then, in full view of the passengers and flight attendants, her skin begins to disintegrate. Lucy dashes to the bathroom, where her fingers begin to melt and her face begins to melt. She takes the rest of the CPH4 and snorts it, returning to normalcy, but she passes out. Lucy wakes up in a hospital room again, where Del Rio and a few other officers and doctors are waiting. To the surprise of a nurse, she stands up right away. Meanwhile, one of Zhang's henchmen, G, arrives with more armed men to find the other mules. After killing them, they put them in a room and cut the drugs out of them. Lucy exits the room and is surrounded by armed men. She can put them all to sleep with a wave of her fingers, except for Del Rio. They find Zhang's men together, and with her brain function now at 60%, she moves them around the hall, preventing G from fleeing with the briefcase full of drugs by erecting an invisible wall. She takes the drugs from G and begins to flee, but orders Del Rio to accompany her. He believes he is of no use to her, but she approaches him and kisses him, asking him to return as a reminder. Lucy uses her abilities to find a new location, taking over Del Rio's car and driving manically through the streets, despite the fact that she has never driven before. Zhang and G follow her. Lucy and Del Rio meet Norman and his colleagues at a university, where she begins to reveal everything she has discovered with her brain power now exceeding that of a normal human being. While this is going on, Zhang and his men infiltrate the location and begin shooting. Lucy gives the remaining CPH4 to the professors, who synthesize it into a liquid substance that enters her bloodstream. Her brain function goes to 70%, and her hands begin to transform into a black wormy goo that attaches itself to the computers in the room, giving Lucy more energy from matter and supplying her with an insane amount of power. As her brain function develops, she manipulates matter in such a way that she appears to erase everything in the room, leaving the professors standing in white space before constructing some kind of new age supercomputer in front of their eyes. As Zhang's men are being shot down by the police, he orders G to do something. G fires a rocket launcher through the room, transporting Lucy thousands of miles to Times Square. She manipulates time with a wave of her hand. She travels backward in time, from early 20th century New York to colonial times, and even to prehistoric times, to meet the proto-human from the opening scene. They connect their fingers, sending Lucy through the cosmos and all of space and time. Now she reaches unlimited and infinite power. Zhang enters the room and raises his gun slowly to Lucy's head. Then she gets to 100%. Her body vanishes, leaving only her clothes behind. Zhang fires his gun into the air. Del Rio enters and fatally shoots Zhang. The black matter in the room vanishes and transforms into a flash drive, which falls into Norman's hands, expanding and completing his research. Del Rio inquires about Lucy's whereabouts. "I am everywhere," a message appears on his phone. The film concludes with an overhead shot of Zhang's corpse while Lucy's voice says this is what can be done with life. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and leave a comment and let us know which film you want us to explore next. Take care.